All right, let's get started. So, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. My name is Stella, and I'm with the Anaplan team. Thank you for joining us today on Mastering Real Estate Forecasting and Development, Feasibility with Real-Time Robust Modeling topic. We also thank our partner, Alpha AMC, formerly LionPoint Group, to join us today. We look forward to sharing many insights with you today. But before we begin, we'll run through a couple of housekeeping items. First, feel free to use the questions tab to ask questions to the team. We'll take them at the end of the session. This webinar is being recorded. We'll share the recording with all of you after the event that you can watch again and share with your colleagues. With that, I introduce you to moderator for today, Peter Lim, Enterprise Account Director for Anaplan. Over to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Lim. I'm the Senior Enterprise Director for Anaplan, taking care of the real estate industry. So maybe I just put myself on the video. I think it's not on video yet. Can you guys see me? Okay, firstly, I want to warmly welcome all the panelists and audience to this webinar. As we all know, today's economy is turbulent with a persistent high interest rate, shift in demands, and increase in reporting demands from investors. Therefore, effective planning and analysis in asset and fund management are more than critical than ever. In line with this theme today, our webinar will be focused on asset-level cash flow forecasting, how to enhance your financial visibility and make data-driven decisions with precision. Secondly, we will look at fund-level modeling with investors' view, how to gain comprehensive perspective on your investment, ensuring transparency and confidence for your stakeholders. At this point, I would like to pass the floor to the panelists to introduce themselves. Gabriel, would you do us the honor of kicking us off with the introduction, followed by Paul and Michael?
Sure thing. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabriel Say. I run data and digital at Keppel. We were running a lot of major transformation programs, including the one that we'll talk about on working with Anaplan and LionPoint.
Paul, moving on to you.
Thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. Thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon. I'm Paul Peterson. I'm a partner with Alpha Financial Markets Consulting, the alternative asset or private markets part of Alpha that was formerly known as LionPoint. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, moving on to Michael.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Park, Director at Alpha Alternatives and Master Anaplanner. I've been involved in Anaplan journey for now 8 years. And prior to that, worked in finance for a number of different real estate companies in Australia.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everyone, for the introduction, and welcome to this panel. So just for a quick introduction of the agenda, today's agenda will have a short introduction of who is Anaplan and Alpha, followed by an exciting interview with the Managing Director of Keppel Data and Digital, Gabriel Si, and on his take on what are some of the key factors that help him decide on Anaplan for his fund management project. And then we'll go straight into a very robust demo on Anaplan fund management. And lastly, we will close off with a short Q&A. Okay. To start off, I would like to introduce what is Anaplan. I would like to start off by saying that Anaplan is a very robust, cloud-based planning solution that helps our client in three very key areas. Firstly, being able to see their data in real time from any source to plan their analysis. Secondly, Anaplan is able to help internal teams collaborate seamlessly with a single source of truth for planning so that their key stakeholders and management can make accurate and fast decisions. Anaplan has been around since 2011, and through the last 13 years, the company has grown to 2,200 clients across the globe, with 50 of the Fortune 50 companies using Anaplan currently. And what is more important, more than 70 real estate and fund clients are using Anaplan for fund and asset management. most of these companies have seen a robust ROI of close to 300% after 3 years. Of course, Anaplan could not have done this without the close partnership with our key partners such as Alpha Alternative. And this is a good segue for me to pass the torch over to Paul to share a bit about Alpha.
Thanks again, Peter. Alpha Financial Markets Consulting is a global consultancy that's focused on asset owners, wealth management industry, and private markets. So we have a lot of real estate, private equity, private credit type clients, and have been in business for a number of years. And we're formerly the Line Point Group, and we were acquired by Alpha a couple of years ago, and we're now kind of completing that transition and rebranding as Alpha Alternatives. Nearly 1,000 consultants and nearly that many clients that we've worked with. We offer a lot of different services and technologies that we work with, but a good chunk of our business certainly has been mirroring the impressive growth that Anaplan has had over the last few years, as Peter just called out. So we are a global implementation partner of Anaplan's. Next slide, please. We do have a global footprint. There you see kind of the distribution of our consulting team. I'm responsible for our business in APAC from here in our Sydney office. We do have offices in Singapore and Melbourne as well in this region.
Thanks, Paul, for sharing. Thank you so much for that rundown on Alpha's details. So currently, I've come to the most exciting part of the whole session, which is the interview with our Keppel's MD, Gabriel Si, who is the MD of Digital and Data. So before we start, I would like to just share a little bit about Keppel. And it's really exciting that today Keppel is one of our key clients. And Keppel is a premium Singapore brand with focus on global asset and fund management with a vision of growing their AUM to 200 billion by 2030. So Gabe, it's really a pleasure to have you in this short interview with Anaplan and Alpha. So I'll just kick off with a few questions. I know you're still in between the projects, so you'll be only able to answer some of these questions. Okay, so maybe just a quick, just to check with you, the first question is, would you be able to describe what were some of your key challenges that Keppel faced, which compelled you to look for a new solution for fund and asset management?
Sure thing. So I think for us as Keppel as a company, we were going through a big transformation last year. Previously we were a conglomerate kind of model where we had a lot of businesses that were operating loosely together. But our transformation last year kind of built us into a global asset manager and operator, which really requires our businesses to be much more tighter in terms of how we operate across different segments and the domains that we play in. And so previously, when teams have been operating independently, the flow of information across this board, across the traditional businesses had been quite difficult. So we needed to have an ability to have that transformation that allows us to look at data across the asset life cycles, the funds life cycles, across different businesses and segments, etc. So that's one element of why we needed to do that. And additionally, our company, because now we're looking at that holistically, we have lots of different assets and funds, and so we needed to put them all in one place to be able to give us that holistic view. And ultimately, we also needed to have ability to harmonize, right? When we think about the large number of deals that we're working on, and we keep these assets for such a long time, we needed the ability to kind of pass on that information across different users much easier, right? So when we make a deal in different places, we want to be able to make sure that all those nuances of those details are carried across and explained in a way that allows us to see that. So that's where having like a proper platform that allows us to look at this end to end across different businesses and funds and assets is hugely important for us to do that. So that's kind of why we were started on that journey to look at a platform to do that.
Yeah. Thanks, Gabe, for sharing that. It's very comprehensive. The second question I have for you is, what are some of the key reasons for evaluating Anaplan and other planning solutions? I know you went through probably a 6 months to a year period to analyze what are the solutions that you would like to have. And finally, Keppel made a decision to go with Anaplan as a solution of choice for your project. So what made you make that decision?
Yeah, I think the key criteria for us to looking at the right platforms, we did look at a few others beyond Anaplan for this construct. So really part of it really, how does it fit into our harmonization, our transformation plans? One of those key requirements is how do we harmonize the different models and assets so we can have that big picture view. So that's a big important part. And how do we link all that data and model across different segments, different business models to give us that holistic view? So that was the main things that we were looking at in terms of how we drive the selection criteria. Ultimately, on the reasons on why we chose Anaplan and AlignPoint/Alpha Alternatives is really because of two things. One was that Anaplan itself as a platform was very much geared towards business users, right? So from a scalability perspective, because we need to have this from a business perspective, it was a lot faster than some of the other alternatives that we were looking at. And I think the other part was really on AlignPoint Alpha's capabilities. When we started looking at Anaplan for this particular application, they introduced us to AlignPoint, and they actually turned around a POC in about 3 days, which was very very reassuring, because one was the models themselves were quite complicated. And so, but then the AlignPoint's ability to kind of bring that in 3 days gave us a lot of trust in not only the platform as being easy to use, but also that if we had expert builders and drivers in this platform, we know that we can get to our transformation much faster. So those are the two main elements of why we ultimately landed on AlignPoint and Alpha to help us with this journey.
Thank you, Gabe. Thanks for the sharing. So I have one last question. I think it's the most important question for you. Understanding that you're on your first phase, in the process of the first phase of your projects, any regrets so far choosing Anaplan and Alpha? And also, what are your expectations? Have they been met so far? Yeah.
No regrets so far. I think it's been pretty good so far. I think with the AlignPoint and Anaplan team has been very supportive on where we are. We've gone through a lot of discovery and harmonization with what we have so far, and going from where we were to where we are, we can already see where the productivity and the savings and the simplification and harmonization efforts that's going to bring. And so that's been very reassuring. And then on the build side, we're going through our first module right now, which will go live very shortly. So it's been quite fast in terms of how we kind of get those things turned on. So we're quite happy with how we do that so far. And I think we've been showcasing what we've been working on with the other businesses as well, and the other businesses are actually very interested in what else this can bring to the table. So in parallel, our team's already exploring, like, hey, what else can we do with this platform and the way we're looking at modeling. So it's been exciting so far.
Great. Thank you, Gabe. This has been a very insightful sharing. And also thanks for making the decision to be on the journey with us with Anaplan and Alpha. We look forward to more engagements with you further on in our journey. And I believe the audience has also gotten a lot out of this sharing of yours. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're welcome.
Without further delay, I will pass the floor over to Michael, which will go into a very robust fund and asset management demo. So Michael, right now I'm passing the floor over to you.
Right, thank you very much. I'm just sharing my screen right now. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can.
Right. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we'll take you through two Anaplan models specifically built to accommodate asset budget forecasting and fund modeling. It's important to understand that Anaplan is a versatile, low-code, no-code cloud platform, and it can be built for endless modeling use cases. Every page you see here today can be customized to your business needs. Also, note that Alpha Alternatives, previously LinePoint, have deployed many models, especially for real estate, private market industry, hence giving us the experience and expertise you need to implement real estate models with great competence and speed. A few examples, as you can see in this page, serve as a demo, building blocks to accelerate implementations. To keep things concise today, we've selected key dashboards to showcase the main features of asset and fund modeling. To set the scene, it's good to understand from the real estate perspective key challenges we are trying to resolve by utilizing Anaplan as a platform. I know Gabe has mentioned a few of the challenges, but I'd love to add some more on top of what Gabe has mentioned. We understand that we face a lot of challenges as a real estate business when using point solutions that are not very intuitive and overly reliant on Excel spreadsheets to fill in the modeling gaps that causes siloed modeling and forecasting process. This means it doesn't provide a good line of sight from a forecasting perspective, from lease level, unit level of information, all the way up to the asset and fund portfolio level information. Onboarding newly acquired assets and updating assumptions and financial data takes enormous efforts by all parties. We spend much of our time aggregating, consolidating numbers. I have firsthand experience working in finance prior to joining Alpha. Research shows that, on average, more than 80% of our time is spent on data crunching and setting up models, but less than 20%, even less, on real value-adding tasks like variance analysis, wholesale analysis, and top-down approach to scenarios, sensitivities, and portfolio analysis. With Anaplan, we believe we can eliminate those mundane and repetitive tasks and rather automate the process. For example, when we automate the monthly process by loading actuals and rebalancing your forecast numbers, your model is ready for consumption and allows you to make decisions really quickly. Inefficient and slow response time to change in modeling or even hierarchy structure will hinder the ability to generate insights and perform impact assessments on a timely manner. Traditionally, you would need to change all your downstream Excels, which could be even 10 or even hundreds. However, with Anaplan, changing these in 1 or 2 models and synchronizing production models will cascade down all the changes to your assets instantaneously. A lack of transparency in a model of how it references or calculates can lead to uncertainty among users and erode their trust in the system if the outcome is not as expected. Many point solutions are black boxes, and even navigating through complex Excel models can be a daunting task. During the demo today, we will show how Anaplan effectively resolves this by using drill down functionality. And lastly, managing multiple versions, performing scenario comparisons, and evaluating sensitivities on the fly using Excel is quite challenging with multiple Excel files that needs to be combined and from a different scenario models and into a one model to do a comparison. In contrast, the cube-based Anaplan platform housing all scenarios in one model makes it intuitive to handle multiple scenarios and sensitivities, analyze comparison with ease. So I've listed out some key features required for a platform to effectively solve these challenges. A platform should be able to cater for multiple use cases, sectors such as real estate, data centers, logistics, infrastructure effectively and efficiently, so that decision makers such as fund, investment, asset managers can make informed investment decisions and operational decisions faster than ever before. Whether it's a structural, or strategic, or down to variations to the numbers of the assumptions, calculations, or adding new integrations to the system, a platform needs to be able to easily reconfigure and able to adapt really quickly. It should also give clarity and transparency around how the calculations are built and how data flows from lowest level, being least level, all the way up to the fund level, or perhaps from assumptions to cash flows to P&L and balance sheet. A platform should be able to perform multiple scenarios and sensitivities so that asset and fund managers can make fast, informed decisions. Centralized, flexible, secure, real-time reporting are other common needs of core platform features. So today we aim to show some of these key features during the demo. Here's the typical workflow of an asset manager. The 6 core functionalities we have built for asset modeling use case. Working from left to right, asset managers will typically review tenancy schedules imported from a source systems, update lease-up assumptions to generate further future leases, update OPEX assumptions and derive at recoveries for those OPEX, produce CapEx initiatives, adjust financing, exit assumptions, run scenarios and sensitivities, then finally submit annual business plan. Once asset level business plans have been approved, we will then feed the relevant data into a fund model or a portfolio model or any other system outside of Anaplan, like data warehouse, to consume by other systems like Power BI and so forth. So here, within the asset budget and forecasting app that you can see now, the links to these functionalities that I mentioned earlier in the slide is laid out in the order of these steps. To begin with, I believe automating the data ingestion is crucial for the model's success. We can import tenancy schedules from a property management system such as Yardi, MRI, SAP RFX, Mercatus, to name a few. Integrated via multiple methods such as Anaplan's native integration tool called CloudWorks, or if you need a complex integration, we can utilize APIs as well. We can also manually import data from a flat text file if you wanted to, if you don't have that capability of doing API calls. With the ingested tenancy schedule, we can generate committed list cash flow and revenue projections. Furthermore, we can forecast each unit revenue beyond the expiration by overlaying market lease assumptions until the anticipated exit of the asset. We also overlay property level expenses, calculate recoveries, CapEx, debt and equity, and management fee, which ultimately arrives at both unlevered and levered cash flow used by as a basis for management reporting. Let's quickly tour into the tenancy schedule page. Here, as an asset manager, can drill down into a unit level, showing underlying data. Let me just go up to the Australia level so you can see all the units down there. And then further, you can actually go to the override section here and be able to override the lease end date. And this is just one example of how you can override a few things. As such, as you change these overrides, you'll be able to see at the bottom of this page a automatic calculation of your lease cash flows. This override obviously will need to be reflected in the property management system down the track, but ability to override here in Anaplan now empowers asset managers to quickly complete the forecast as needed. As an asset manager, if I'm happy with the committed lease data and its cash flow, I'll head over to the lease up dashboard. Okay, this is an important dashboard for asset managers. It provides, one place to visualize complete picture of asset lease income. On the left-hand graph, showing in blue a secured base rent based on the imported tenancy schedule, and in the dark gray, a lease-up base rent derived from the market lease assumptions and percentage growth data at the bottom here. This graph shows good line of sight of when leases are expiring over time and whether we can, we have an adequate modeling of the lease-up assumptions. I'd like to just pause there a minute and explain a little bit about the list structure and hierarchy rollups. This is a key differentiator between Anaplan, Excel, or other point solutions. As you can see, I have selected country level, in this case, Australia, and I can select down to a specific asset as long as I have permission to do so. As I select the different level of an asset, you can see that the charts and tables are updated accordingly. If you compare this to Excel model, where you have multiple tabs and multiple files with a similar spreadsheets for assets, units, and leases, trying to aggregate and consolidate those multiple spreadsheets into various complex hierarchy structures and portfolios is very challenging, inefficient, time-consuming, and prone to formula errors. It is even more challenging when you want to include new assets into the model or exclude few assets for some scenario modeling. In Anaplan, we can create these lists plus any alternative hierarchies in a very flexible way, potentially able to modify those hierarchies with ease. Say in a situation where your reporting hierarchy changes and need to add, let's say, a level between country and asset, for instance, a sector, it is quite easy to add, delete, or move hierarchies elements without causing any calculation issues at the asset level or even down to the unit level. But with a minor tweaks in the Anaplan, it will automatically roll out cash flows to a new hierarchy structure. The other dimension I'd like to point out here is the versions in Anaplan. Similar to the workbooks in Excel, it will hold all your assumptions, calculations, and reports in a live version here. And the power of Anaplan is to hold multiple versions, such as other versions you can see here, prior forecast and budget, or any other scenarios, to be able to toggle between them, like what I'm doing right now, and be able to visualize different versions as it fits. All right, let's go down to back to the lease-up functionality here. I'm going to go and change the market assumptions, in this case, void period and lease terms. And what this is doing is basically picking up those market lease assumptions and recalculating all your assets based on your assets region, Sydney retail, and recalculate at the bottom of the level at the lease level and bring it all up to the asset level and reforecast. As you know, if you want to do this, it will take enormous effort and coordination to change tens and hundreds of assets with thousands of leases sitting in a separate file. Also, you will need to copy and paste resulting cash flow back into the portfolio Excel model. This will take days, basically. However, in Anaplan, as you saw, only took a few seconds actually making changes to your overall assumptions. Let me head down to a asset level. So as an asset manager, I will not only review the regional level market assumptions relevant to this asset, but also empower to change those assumptions at the asset level, which I'm going to do right now. By clicking this override, it's going to change all your market assumptions to asset level assumptions. Even further, when a specific unit of an asset is, it deviates from an asset level assumptions, I can drill down into the unit level and make those overrides. For instance, let's say these vacant units, I'm not going to be using the asset level assumptions, but unit level assumptions. In this way, we can calculate detailed unit level cash flow and results and aggregate up to asset and portfolio in real time. Once as an asset manager is happy with the lease-up assumptions and underlying cash flow, as part of the workflow process, you will submit your lease-up assumptions and for review and lock. As a base input are now complete, as a portfolio manager at a holistic view, you would want to run some scenarios to compare against the base assumptions. And let me go into the scenario modeling dashboard. And scenario modeling can be done quite easily in Anaplan using this page by changing some regional assumptions and instantly visualizing the results for all the assets. Here in this table, we have all the assets under Australia region going down the row, and then you have your versions going across, versions of scenarios. And then you have some KPIs underneath it that you want to visualize and look at as you change your assumptions. So let me try that. Let me go and change the Sydney office assets in the live version in terms of void period, change that to, let's say, 4, and then term change to 60. And as you can see, you'll notice that there's changes happening in those assets and give you the insight as to what the inception to hold IRR has changed compared to other versions, your exit NOI and exit values. Here again, to be able to adjust the assumptions and visualize comparison against other scenarios is a very flexible way, and real time gives portfolio managers great insight of how each asset will perform in different assumptions. Now I want to show a few other dashboards summarizing a result for a portfolio manager. In this dashboard, portfolio manager can visualize investment exposure by different asset types, sectors, and their performance of their top asset based on IRR, WALE, and current market. The table below provides vast amount of information for each asset, helping portfolio managers understand how each asset is tracking from entry, current performance, using current assumptions, and scroll further, exit assumptions and matrices. As portfolio manager, it is crucial to be aware of investment exposure, also where the opportunities are in future investments, and especially understand where the risks are so that we can hedge against those risks at a right opportune time. Also, I'd like to add that scaling with Excel becomes much harder for businesses when you're working with a vast number of assets with different asset types, sectors, and geographies. To be able to produce this kind of insight right at your fingertips is a great advantage for business, utilizing connected planning platform like Anaplan, and put the business ahead of the game. Now I'd like to show basically a dashboard, which is a really an end product of this model called the annual budget plan. Once all the assumptions and tenancy schedules are up to date and OPEX, CAPEX recoveries are updated, we now review them centrally for each of the assets. This report holds relevant KPIs, results for the reporting internally or even externally, and can be customized to match your report requirements. Here we have area where asset managers can input your quarterly performance updates, evaluation and market commentaries. Also, further down here, you can update your exit assumptions to drive your entry to exit results in the same dashboard. In addition to this business plan, let me head into an annual business plan report, which utilizes the management reporting feature in the Anaplan platform. This eliminates basically, manually transporting all your data sets into Excel in order to create presentation slides, decks in the PowerPoint slide. This report works as a dynamic PowerPoint. As you can see here, if I go down to the next slide here, you can basically dynamically change your assets to visualize when you're presenting to the board. This completes the demo of the Anaplan asset model, and now we'll head into the fund model to examine typical data sources we bring in and few dashboards related to fund modeling. All right. Again, to proceed a high-level overview of the fund model, this model solves typical real estate industry challenges by enabling collaboration and great insight across fund managers, portfolio managers, and administrators. It adapts to a rapidly changing market through quick scenario modeling and automated reporting. Model imports, deal, investment cash flows and transaction information from Excel, Argus, or other asset models, then overlays the ownership, exit, valuation assumptions, and debt parameters to generate levered cash flow and KPIs. Model can budget and forecast fund level income, expenditures using a driver-based assumptions and calculations. It can forecast capital calls, distributions, and generate LP forecasts driven by fund forecast activities. And we can set up management fees and promote to ultimately calculate your forecast distribution waterfalls. It also calculates, working capital and corporate credit facility drawdowns and repayments plus subline. Therefore, you can manage your short-term cash and liquidity requirements. This model can also generate performance reporting and do scenario plans for wholesale activities. And lastly, it can track fund managers' progress through reporting cycles using Anaplan native workflow functionality, allowing forecasts to be locked by investment and reporting version following the approval process. Assuming that all the data has been brought into the fund model from another asset model within Anaplan, and some of the fund assumptions has been entered and reviewed, usually the fund managers will typically head into this fund performance summary page to review the results. This dashboard in a single page provides fund level returns, including bridge between gross and net multiples on invested capital, and bridge of GP carry allocation and various other metrics down below. As discussed earlier in the demo, just want to talk about challenges we face with Excel and point solution combined as we scale and diversify into different asset classes from office and retail into logistics, data center, infrastructure, and so on. As an example, a lot of our clients struggle to scale to enterprise level with Excel, and inability and inflexibility of a point solution means that business would rely heavily on software vendors to reconfigure and further customize on onboarding new asset classes. Furthermore, even internally, it will impact the capacity of internal resources considerably, having to deliver these changes in both Excel and point solutions. With Anaplan, though, the model are built for scale in mind, so that only small tweaks are needed to implement the changes. With also, internal COE in place, business can streamline the model customization as well. As a last dashboard I want to present, I'd like to head into investment performance summary. This is another great summary for fund managers showing performance of each asset by way of levered cash flow, IRR, equity invested in each of the investment by percentage, investment cash flow, their top peak equity requirements, levered cash flow top 5, and some key metrics such as current NOI, exit NOI, and exit values. Please note that we have many other reports we built to accommodate the asset and fund managers, but unfortunately we're almost out of time. However, if you're keen to further deep dive with us, please let us know after this webinar, and we're more than happy to connect with you. So hopefully this demo has given you clear insight into the power of Anaplan and what we as an alpha alternatives can deliver for various use cases in the real estate industry. Thank you for listening, and I'll hand it over to Peter and open up for Q&A. Back to you, Peter.
Yep. Thanks, Michael, for that very insightful demo. At this juncture, I will have Stella run through some of the questions from the audience. Stella, would you be able to do that now?
Yeah. So, Michael, we have one. Can you run through an asset model on Anaplan?
I think I've just done that in the model.
That's what he did in the first part of that.
That's
That's basically the asset model is loading your tenancy schedule of existing leases, then making those market lease up assumptions by asset class and geography as to what the void period, terms, et cetera, are going to be to sort of generate future leases. And then obviously, we didn't go through every step in that process with limited time, and just tried to highlight some of the key dashboards. But that was the first model that he showed.
Okay, perfect. We have another one. How long does it typically take to implement Anaplan?
So I'll take that one. I would say, your mileage may vary, but the typical sort of first implementation that we do is usually around 12 to 16 week project. That includes a couple of weeks of requirements, workshops up front, several sprints of agile development, followed by a couple of weeks of user acceptance testing, and then maybe a week of sort of post go live support. But as we pointed out earlier, I think most Anaplan clients see increasing kind of return on investment as they see additional use cases and additional things that they can do with the model. So in that sense, sort of, implementation is ongoing as clients find other ways of utilizing the platform to deliver business benefits. But for something like what Michael showed you today, that would, to do one of those asset level models, that would be typically, maybe 12 to 16 weeks.
Okay, thank you. We'll take another 2 questions today because we're almost time. What is the notable obstacle that you encountered in terms of bringing the data in Anaplan?
Paul and Michael, you want to answer that?
Shall I take that?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm thinking on it.
Yeah. So typically the issues we have loading the data into the Anaplan, basically obstacles will be data sources, clean data. There's a lot of instances where business are not capable of producing a clean data at a right level and hierarchy structure. And we've seen, a lot of cases where when we are implementing, the delays that has occurred due to the data issues will cause the delay in the implementation. So yeah, the obstacle is always going to be data cleanliness. And if you want to implement an Anaplan, always look into how you can, correctly put together your data sources in place before the implementation.
Okay, perfect. The other one is typically what applications do you integrate Anaplan with? Also, do Alpha have some standard models that could be leveraged as opposed to building bespoke models from scratch?
I'll take a stab at that one, Michael. On the first part of that, for our real estate customers, again, a lot of Yardi, MRI, SAP, Salesforce are systems that we're often integrating with, as well as other custom or more client-specific sources. As Michael said earlier, Anaplan has kind of an integration tools that come with it that you can use, or in some cases will use third-party ETL or integration tools that a client may already have. As far as the sort of starter models or accelerator models, so most of those applications that Michael showed you earlier, we do have kind of accelerator models, we call them, that we would use as a starting point for that type of use case. The demo models themselves, as you might expect with people doing a lot of demos, and it tend to be a bit sloppy and things get kind of messed up in there. But we have sort of different clean versions of those that we've gone through kind of full unit testing and UAT kind of testing on. So it would be the equivalent of what would be built on a project for a client, and we can use those as a starting place. Sometimes the value that we've seen from that is not so much in the built model itself, but more just in getting the conversation going, rather than starting with a blank whiteboard in the conference room, having a kind of a straw man to start with and say, okay, well, how about this? Or what about this do you not like? Or what about this doesn't work for you? And then we can quickly adapt those.
Thank you, Paul. Our last question for today: how much training do our people need to use Anaplan?
So
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Well,
Yeah,
I was going to talk more about there's a very good sort of self-serve training available through Anaplan through their site. There's a level 1 model building and then a level 2 course, and we usually encourage people that are going to be involved in the project, to do the level 1 training, which is pretty short, before the project. I think level 2 might take somebody who's working on it pretty steadily another week or two to get through that training, and you pass an exam at the end of that, and you're a certified model builder. So again, it maybe takes you, if you focused on it, a couple weeks to sort of get through that initial bit of training and be useful as a model builder. If you keep doing it for years, eventually there's a lot to learn, and you can eventually achieve a master Anaplanner certification like Michael and I have. So it's an ongoing thing, and they're constantly making improvements in additions to the product that you keep up with. But as far as becoming useful as a model builder, like I say, I would say it's kind of on the order of 2 weeks. And then, of course, a lot of your users are not really going to be model builders. They're just going to be using the solution that gets configured. And generally, we don't really see much need for training on that. The people that are sort of involved in our agile implementation throughout, that sort of see the dashboards as they're getting created, they have a direct voice and say in how it should work. So by the time we get to UAT, the users that have been involved generally have a natural, intuitive understanding of how to use the application.
Yeah. But to add to that, in the real world, when I was trained up with Anaplan, it only took me 2 weeks to understand it and start building the model. Anaplan is a no-code, low-code platform, so a lot of the formulas in there is similar, very similar to Excel spreadsheet. And if you're versed in Excel, you can easily learn the Anaplan.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much to our speakers, Paul, Michael, and our guest speaker, Gabriel. We hope that our viewers found this webinar informative and useful in understanding how Anaplan can help your business grow. Peter, would you like to conclude before I wind up?
All right, thanks, Stella. I want to take the opportunity once again to thank Gabe from Keppel for the interview that we did just now. And also Paul and Michael, thank you so much for the demo and also the wonderful presentation that you guys have done, and also to answer some of the key questions that the audience had today. I hope that everyone had a great session and have some takeaways from this webinar. If you find this useful, we are going to have another exciting webinar on the 25th of July, 2 p.m. on development feasibility. We really look forward to the audience that is here today to join us that day, and also more from your colleagues or friends that would like to join this session. So over to you, Stella, for the closing comments. Yeah.
Thank you again for joining us today and for your engaging questions throughout. Quick help, a survey link will pop at the end of the session today. Please share your feedback and select yes if you'd like to connect with Anaplan representative. As a reminder, we'll send you the recording that you can have and share with your colleagues. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.